I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and today's our first viewer games analysis stream. So I'm going to talk about 3 games today. All of these games you guys sent me. And feel free to ask questions as I comment, even if this is not your game that we're talking about, or if you're watching this stream in the recording, feel free to ask about my thoughts on certain moves, or share your own thoughts, and I'll endeavor to respond to your comments. And yeah, there's not gonna be much of a prelude. We're just gonna dive into our first game. Today we have 3 games, and the players involved will range from rating of 200 to 700, so we're gonna try to cover all levels. So here's the game shared to us by CraftyRaf. And this is, as far as I understand, this is a game from the Belgian Championship, of the Belgian Online Championship, and our protagonist is going to be CraftyRaf because he's the one who sent the game. Wait. Yeah. Oh. But we need the actual game. Okay. Yeah, never mind. So first mistake using the old design. Using the new tile design. I very much prefer the old one because it's just so much easier to see the difference between different kinds of tiles. Because I mean, everything is just much simpler. Like even this straight line is kind of slightly curved as well, and each of the curves are curved in a different way. But anyway, this is an irrelevant trend, so we start with natural moves, and now already here. There are actually 2 possible moves. The one which I like is this one with a meeple. Yeah, of course. Now it's probably time to meeple roads. This is also an alternative move, but again, like at the start, I like aggressive scoring, so this is okay, but I would probably just take 2 points for this road above and start building it. Because it just spends a move. And look, now sort of your opponent will probably place the tile here, and then your road would have had 3 points. And if I were red, I would take the road now. Yeah, exactly. And so, well, red now has the 2 points, and you don't. So now, of course, we continue our city. I would assume somewhere here to try and separate from the red city. I slightly prefer the one above. I'd say that separating from the city would be a bit more important than for the road. And again, here it's an okay move, but there's a move which I think goes slightly better. So I will be commenting on both your moves and your opponent moves, maybe emphasizing a bit more of your moves. But here, for red, this is okay. I probably like just putting the city cap on top and harassing, well, putting pressure, very, very minor pressure, but still on the city a little bit, and threatening to complete the red city on the here. Then we, of course, I assume, continue like this. Yeah, that makes sense. Red's probably going to continue their roads. We are going to connect to the roads, of course. Then what else? Then they probably should be starting a new city, maybe somewhere on the right. Yeah, I rather like it. Now 2 moves that we could do, this one or this one, both make sense. I kind of prefer this one, even though it's makes your city very vulnerable to attack. At least you can get some compensation for it by blocking the red city above, because with this you are creating an attacking platform, but also you're creating a blocking platform for yourself. Oh, okay, and you do that, and he doesn't get the tile. Very good from him. I would always meeple this road, actually. Yeah, so there are a few reasons, but one is to get some compensation. So in case you get a city cap with a crossroads. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do this. Yes. just to show you the remaining tiles. So if you get something like this, if your opponent gets something like this, at least you're going to take a 4-point road. And if, well, I'm talking from Red's perspective here. So if Black gets this tile, then Red will at least have these 4 points for this road. Try to imagine how it loops. And whenever, speaking from Red's perspective, your opponent scores a lot of points at the start, you have to take any compensation you can get. So I assume we're going to place a monastery right here. Oh, okay. So I don't understand this move, because it's sort of blocking your own city, possibly together with a monastery, and taking 3 points instead of 4. So here's the thing. You're taking a lot of tiles away from yourself, even though you are taking away some tiles from your opponent, or taking away some attacking tiles. You're giving them a lot of blocking tiles still. For example, if they get any of the crossroads, there's still 8 crossroads remaining. They take 3 points and start blocking attack with tempo. Moreover, after they block here, there will be only 2 tiles remaining instead of 3, and that's quite a big difference in probabilities. So I think this move definitely is something to think about. But also another strategic point here. With this move, there were 2 attacking platforms for the city. It's actually a much better situation for you to be in than to have only 1 attacking platform for the city. Because if your opponent uses 1 attacking platform to join to your city, you can always use the other platform to counter that meeple and, and try to win that city outright. So, of course, predictably, Red now poses certain difficulties for you over here. I mean, it's not over. We can, just start a new city, connect to the road. And if I were Red, I would probably... Well, actually, there are 2 options that you can do. Red could either connect to the road or start a blocking attack above. I mean, both are completely fine alternatives. And look at that. And now, because of that blocking attack above, you're kind of forced to react, even though it's not it's not an easy situation. So actually, I'm not sure exactly where this monastery goes. Maybe you can just ignore this and score a monastery, but I think you'll have to do something like this. And then exactly, and then not meeple this monastery, because this will be, you can still lose these meeples, and that would be a bit much. So that's already pretty much a little gain that your opponent managed to get from this move, because he managed to exchange a low value tile for a high value tile. That's a concept that I think I haven't talked in depth, as to if you are not lucky with your tiles, you can create certain threats that kind of equalize the luck, because basically Red now got a 1-point tile, and Black now got a potentially, what's in this position, 4-point tile or 5-point tile, and then they eventually equalized. So, okay, if I'm Red will now probably cover up their city. Yeah, that's very nice. For any beginners of you out there here, or intermediate players, it's an excellent way to sort of prevent your city from attacking, and there's still 4 triple cities left that fit here, and it's quite a safe space. And if Black starts attacking this, then Red will be able to defend the square with a high probability. Yeah, so that's why Black is attacking, and I assume Red will now complete their block. That's a gigantic mistake by Red. That's an absolutely gigantic mistake by Red. So you have a chance to... Red should now be absolutely blocking this square where the number 16 is, because first of all, that was the purpose, and then if Black gets this tile, it's just a huge advantage. And this city is definitely less important, because so what Black was threatening to do was not to block the city, actually. It was to block himself together with the red meeple. And that's not the worst thing, because black will be having only 2 points and red will be having only... And red will be having 5 points and thus prevailing in this mini battle. So definitely got fortunate here that red made this misstep. Black continuing the city. Then red will probably... That's a good question. I think red could either finish their own city or attack the blacks. I probably prefer finishing red's own city at this point. There are a few reasons for that. Yeah. Now, oh yeah, you see, and now you also another thing, like you're forced to defend. I think that's definitely an okay move to kind of get yourself this 75% chance probability, but also this means that you can't finish this. So it is, yeah, quite unfortunate, and you might even have to meeple the city cap. Although here actually maybe you can do without that, given that you already have 2 meeples tied up and your opponent has 1 meeple tied up, and just be okay with relinquishing 2 points. But I mean, meepling the city cap is definitely okay for sure. So red should now connect to your city, as they do. Black now manages to equalize this spot, as they do. So in fact, black is now in a great position. Even though black is down on meeples, black has this very good mini battle potentially going on, because you don't have to connect. You can just, let's say if you get a quadruple tile, you don't put it here, you put it here, and then you have the same number of points as red, and then you just keep building while red's meeple is blocked. And you have a 75% chance of getting like a huge move. Yeah, this is a very nice move by red over here. So of course it's quite natural to start blocking this black meeple, and red is doing so from the correct side, because red is making sure that black needs the same tile for this hole and for this hole, which is why if I were black, I would definitely go like this, trying to make sure that there would be still one of the 3 triangles remaining, and that you would need different tiles in different places. And that's exactly what you do. Yeah, and there we go. It immediately pays off, and black now has a nice advantage. Before our next move, I'm gonna grab some coffee. I think I remember what you played, and I think what you played was actually really good. But coffee first. I gotta reach it without spilling, well, almost without spilling, and then I'll be happy. Oh, let's go. So, 2 moves to consider here. Taking 3 points over here, or finishing up this road. Oh, wait a second. Let's just red move. Well, red will make a natural move. And I think you're gonna... Well, let's see what you're gonna do. Yeah, very nice, very nice. This is an excellent move. Even though it gives you 0 points at the moment, first of all, it sets up this huge road over here, because immediately when you complete the city, you'll be able to meeple it, get 6 points for the road, get a meeple back from your city. That's just a huge high impact move. And additionally, you place a city cap in your own field. So for any intermediate level players watching here, this is the tactic that you can definitely employ if you have a hole in your city that will likely be completed sometime soon. You can sort of pre-build a long road instead of taking 3 points in the short term. Well, yeah, so now they take the 3 points, and you might be a bit sad about it because you now didn't take the 3 points yourself. But imagine if the roles were reversed. If you take the 3 points over here, then your opponent places the crossroads over here where you placed your tile right now, and then red would meeple this road. At least that's what they should do. And then red would ensure themselves compensation. So if the city gets finished, they get 7 points for the road at least, and a meeple back as well. You of course take 4 points for the city. Now, this is an interesting position because you have this high impact move, and you're probably going to win if you get this tile. However, if you don't win it, it would be very nice to try and win even if you don't get this tile. And one way how I could do this, how to try and mitigate this long-term meeple disadvantage that you're going to have, is to try to block off this field, because it's 12 points per one meeple. And if we manage, well, let's say if we manage to get a triangle and put it here, or maybe somehow block this square next to your own monastery where you have the number 13, then you would be able to create a field which has no connection squares and just try to kind of build around this. So this is one of the ways how you can often mitigate a meeple disadvantage. Just by building one field with one meeple and taking exceptional care of any connection points that it may have. Yeah, Red's quite greedily starts a road, but I can empathize with greed. Well, what could we do here? I like taking 2 points somewhere. Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, you're doing so much with this move because you're dropping another city cap. Even though you're creating a connection spot to the field through two 22s, like imagine a straight line goes here and then a curve. It's really far-fetched, so it's completely all right. Yeah, then they're gonna go here and and well, now there's pretty much only one correct move that I'm sure you're gonna make. It's preventing Red from completing their city and dropping a farmer. That is an absolute must. Yeah, that's great. And then we of course keep taking 4 points. Yeah, so far, like you're playing this absolutely excellently. Like building this field, it's fantastic. Then they of course are going to complete their... Oh! Red is so greedy. Red is so greedy. Actually, I think I rather like it, yeah. Because Red can get a meeple back with a city cap or a curve. And they actually are making a bit easier for themselves to take a meeple back. And now I'm sure what you're going to do here, trying to... When your opponent doesn't have any meeples, trying to break the city is an excellent idea. They of course get their stuff back immediately. And now this is quite a difficult tile to play. One potential move is here, even though I'm not such a huge fan of it because there's some scenarios how this simply expands your red city. However, given how few triangles are remaining, maybe that's doable, but it's hard to say. Another move that I really like is putting it here. Then if your opponent gets a quadruple city, you will have some equity of continuing this. But let's see what you're gonna do. Oh, you do this, so you block your field. Yeah, that's short, nice. But the downside of that move is that it's protecting his city indirectly, because now it's much harder to block. Now he's gonna have a massive dilemma where to place his... Well, actually, it's not a dilemma. He should absolutely place it here, and that's just perfect for him because there are 4 tiles. And I think what Red should do here, that's one of those times where you get some courage and drop your last meeple on the field, because there's still 4 connection tiles remaining, and you aren't really missing any value because the only tile with which you can score other than this are city caps. So you will be waiting for city caps anyway to get your meeple back and to score, and or an alternative, you get this first. Yeah, so I think Red doesn't do that. Yeah, and I think Red missed a chance there for sure. Now what we do is not an easy question. Because like ideally, if we had more meeples, we could have just equalized this road, just placed over here and make sure that Red is not able to meeple another road when they finish. I guess we'll have to resort to something like this, maybe, just taking 2 points somewhere. Oh yeah, or there, or there. You know what? Maybe not that angle, actually. Yeah, I'm not, because it creates a very easy connection to your field. Like, and also, it can be a connection with the block. So, for example, if your opponent takes a monastery, then they with the road, they take a monastery with here, they drop a meeple, they block your square here, and they connect through this. Also, having the square blocked or unblocked doesn't matter that much because your game is anyway like predicated on this tile. So imagine if you get this curve, one of these tiles remaining, then. Oh, that's so nice! Actually, I just noticed this thing about the script is that as soon as you drop your pointer on the hole, not only does it always show the number of tiles remaining, but on the left, it highlights the exact tiles that fit here. Such a brilliant tool. Also, at the moment, I see that several of you are watching, but not so many meeples are placed on the like button. I would certainly appreciate. But more than me, the YouTube algorithm would appreciate it greatly, more than either of us might think. Yeah, so that's why probably here I prefer to narrowing down the space. Yeah, but then on the other hand, I know if you take 2 points over here, then your opponent can connect through a curve, placing a straight line. So there's really no good ways of doing this. Maybe the answer is just take 2 points elsewhere. For example, a move that I quite like, yeah, is taking 2 points over here next to 16 because you're also indirectly blocking the city. So you take 2 points over here, you leave this square committed to a starting tile which no longer exists, and then this means that with any triangle, you drop the triangle here and you connect the city to this big structure and make sure that red does not get their meeple back. Yeah, so I think this idea was probably missed. Because now if you are red, yeah, maybe again you can just well, probably if I were red, I would place the curve somewhere up top, trying to blocking the square for the square that would create the platform for blocking, kind of gets a couple of percentages up top, and drop a farmer as well. Also, this is doable, but then if you have to do this, they have to drop a farmer. Do they do that? No. So yeah, so probably you should be very happy with this move because red just took away a field connection from themselves, gave you 50% for a huge monastery, and also created a blocking platform for their own city, which I'm sure you're going to use right now. Of course, now they finished this city, which is quite nice for them. You're probably going to block red. Yeah, that makes sense because trying to commit red to a starting tile, red gets a bit fortunate here. Which, you know, there's not much that we can do about this. This move is still good. And I assume a red farmer comes here. And we're now in not the easiest position. Because, well, this field connection is still live. And red can use it now, like on their next move. You can't really use it yourself because you need meeples. So probably the only move that's really doable is just going here and pre-building a monastery spot for yourself. Oh, that's better. Yeah. Because you're pre-building a road for yourself. And also you're pre-building a monastery in an alternative spot. So you're pre-building a monastery somewhere, a hole for a monastery, somewhere where your opponent can't, well, I mean, your opponent can access it, but the thing is, like, red would love to place a monastery over here to connect to your field, but you don't want to do that. So you create, but if you're flipping for the monastery anyway, you might be flipping for it on your terms. So this is an excellent tactic from you that I missed at first, and others should absolutely take notice. And also, given that black is behind, it's okay to create these flips. because just by winning these flips is how you come back into the game. So yeah, of course they have to drop a farmer here. Then you're going to take these 4 points that you nicely pre-built for yourself. Check. And what else could they do? They can probably expand their field at the bottom. Or pre-build their road, that's also fine. You, I guess, take 2 points maybe on the left. Yeah. Because you also want to be finishing the city, I guess, at some point. Or do you? Let's see. So they take the tile that you needed, but let's not call them lucky for that. They're not. It has to happen once every 4 games. And remember, sort of part of that points is pretty much black blocking themselves rather than red blocking black. So we gotta deal with the consequences here. So red could... I don't know what red could do. Let's just see what they're gonna do. Yeah, this is a good move because it blocks a field connection. And in the rare occasion where they don't connect, at least they throw in another city cap in our field. And now here, I think you finish here just to equalize the points and get the meeple back, which is certainly understandable. Interesting. So they actually get quite unlucky a tile because they can't meeple this field, and they would really love to do so. They're probably going to meeple this city. Alternatively, like, an extremely greedy move would be to meeple this little piece of land and to hope that you're the first one to get the city cap, and then you get the 6 points and the 6 points for this farmer. But actually, of course, meepling the city is better because you can drop the farmer anyway upon completion. So what we do here is also difficult because you have to meeple some kind of field, but it's hard to say which one. Maybe you can go for the one here, and but it's a bit risky because your opponent's going to reconnect anyway, or they're gonna block you. I probably prefer going here. And then just equalizing this meeple, because red is about to connect here, and red is threatening to preserve a 12-point field. But let's see what you do. You go here, trying to block this. Yeah, that also makes actually perfect sense. Do we drop a farmer here? That is the question. We might as well might. It depends on who's in the lead, and this one I didn't count. So, if you are not in the lead, if you're trailing behind, then you're kind of playing hope Carcassonne. Then you hope that you get a road before your, or a triple city, that you get a blocking tile before your opponent gets a saving tile. If you are playing, if you're ahead, then you definitely place your farmer here for insurance, just to make sure that if your opponent gets lucky soon and gets the tile that he needs, then he cannot drop a farmer for 6 points. Well, in order to figure that out... Oh, why did I... Sorry, guys. I only now noticed that, like... Anyway, I'm watching this, like, from 2 devices, and I just noticed that you actually were saying stuff in the chat. Thank you for thanking me for the Azul videos. Yeah, I'll appreciate the kind words. I'm definitely considering making those more often because of that. But that said, even though I think I do have some things to share to Azul, probably in comparison to the things that are left to say in Carcassonne, that could be quite limited. I definitely, even though like I have as high a rating in Azul as I have in Carcassonne, I feel like I have a much better understanding of Carcassonne that I have Azul. And pretty much the first time I crossed 700 in Azul, I had the feeling that, well, I keep winning these games, but like I'm not sure exactly why. So now I kind of start understanding this dynamics of the game a little bit more. But like for Carcassonne, typically when I win or when I lose, most of the time it's clear to me, or if it's not, I analyze the game and try to figure out exactly what happened. So which part of it was mistakes and which part of it was luck. Also, when I play a Carcassonne game, I sometimes like to assess at the end who had the winning tiles. Like you look try to remember who drew what they could have done with these tiles. And then you figure out which side with the best play for both players, as much as you can estimate, that actually had the tiles to win. And of course, the most satisfying wins are when your opponent gets the tiles for the win, but you win. Anyway. But anyway, I digress. So, are we ahead here or are we behind? Let's actually do the difficult, dirty work. Even sometimes I don't like to do that. So we're at -5 here. Mini battle +2. So we're at -3. -3 +7. So we're at -4. Oh no, wait, +7. So we're at +4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're +10. Road -5. And then city. Wait, a road is 5. Well, -5, so it's 5. Then you see how very often I lose track. But okay. Then this is -2, so we're at +3. Yes, we're actually massively behind because we're at +3. But our opponent is about to equalize the field, and our opponent has a 12-point field effectively. So, yeah, very, very, very hard to say whether to meeple this farmer or not. Probably you cannot. I think you cannot afford to meeple this. Actually, I do not have a right answer for this. Let's just see what you do. Probably you may have not enough meeples because you actually need another meeple to take this field. So now they do this. They actually might meeple a field for that. Yeah, to be honest, I would definitely consider this, and here's why. Because they know that on your next move, black is going to try to take this field in all likelihood. And so they already can anticipate that and try to connect backwards. So this is very often the thing about dropping farmers. Sometimes it makes sense to drop a farmer after you complete a feature. Even when its farm is small, because you can anticipate that your opponent will take the big farm, and so you can use the small farm to start connecting. Let's see what you do. You definitely should be torn now between taking this farm and blocking this city. But since they have only one tile remaining now, you should probably take this field. Yeah, excellent move. And also turn that cap that way. Well, actually, I was going to say that it eliminates a field connection, but actually it doesn't. Because there's this. But it's completely fine. Yeah, they get kind of unlucky. What should they do? That's a very, very good question, because now you've equalized this. And you're at +3. Well, actually, no, they're still in a good position, because I think if we just meeple this ruin, they will be massively ahead once they complete this field connection and meeple the road. So probably your next big objective would be to meeple this road yourself. So let's see what they do. Reds could just simply take a 4-point ruin. Yeah, that's not the worst move. So they take a 4-point ruin, and they create a high-impact tile for themselves, because there's still a triple city with the road left, and they can take 4 points here and 2 more points for the road. I really, really like this move, and they have a sufficient number of meeples to do so, because they're going to get a meeple back from here anyway. So they just created a field connection platform. And we now get super fortunate because now we don't... So it's not just about the fact that we drew both tiles that our opponent needed. It's also about the fact that we did so quite early. And so we won't even have to spend energy on blocking this stuff. Yeah, and so because that was a possibility, definitely not farming here was probably the right choice. And you could do two things. You could actually... Yeah! Why don't we... shall we drop? I feel like we need to drop a farmer somewhere, either here or here. Just trying to bulldoze this over this place. Dropping a farmer here would also be a possibility, even though that's... Well, actually, there's only one blocking tile. How bad can it be? Yeah, maybe that's the way to do it. Huh, Oh, I see what you did. So you connect to your opponent's field, even though it temporarily relinquishes points, because you equalize a 9-point field to your opponent's 6-point field. You're kind of thinking that they can get the monastery, and then connect their meeple to this field, so you're pre-connecting it to advance. It definitely makes sense. However, then I would question, is it even possible for you to win without the monastery? Because let's say if you do this, they get 9 points, and this could be possibly not enough. Yeah, because possibly the reason why I like this farmer up top a little bit more is that, well, obviously now I can see the tiles, so it could be a bit harder in the time that there are so few blocking tiles. Is that you can equalize this big field if they get the monastery, but you do so with a low value meeple. So like with a meeple that doesn't have 9 points already, you might want to preserve those 9 points. But I mean, this move certainly makes sense. Oh, by the way, the stuff that I was talking about, you see, they would have now had so much points for this ruin, so many points. But I think they missed this idea. So now, of course, yeah, that's also another problem with this connection, because like it invites a reconnection, and there are connection spots everywhere. There's over here, and now what they should absolutely do, well, let's see, they should place at the bottom and connect to your bottom field, right? Ah, like that, huh? Yeah, I guess that's also an option. And they should meeple that as well. Just trying to take points for the road. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's such a high impact move. And it's also, it blocks off the field from field connections. By the way, also with my suggestion, you would have connected to this field already and meepled the road and pretty much secured the win in the game. But again, we just know the run out of tiles. There's not much that we can do. Yeah, but that's actually a strong move as well. So if it's difficult to judge these endgame because there's a limited number of resources and all of them roughly roughly gain you the same number of points. But from Red's perspective, I definitely like the idea of taking Black's road away. Well then, if they do this, then we should connect to this field at the bottom, right? It's 15 points, it's huge. We have 4 connection tiles, it's pretty much guaranteed. Yeah? But I don't think I understand this because there's such an obvious field connection at the bottom. Maybe if you feel that the field at the bottom is not going to be enough, but why does it make such a difference? Because the field at the top is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 21 points. The field at the bottom is 15 points, so you can get 15 points. It's 6 points less. However, it's actually 17 points, not 15, because your connection tiles give you 2 points extra. And then also, importantly, you take away this connection tile yourself, because it looks like you're trying to create a field connection for yourself through the monastery, but it takes too long, so I think definitely that placing here is the move. Yeah, so they get their stuff, and they get both meeples back. Oh, you're already placing it here, but yeah, you see, that's definitely way too early of a kamikaze meeple. So you're trying to connect through a monastery. You're trying to connect through to the monastery, where you may not have to do that because there's this connection at the bottom. Oh, I think I now see your idea. This actually, no, the idea is like spatially super, super clever. It's super clever because you do this now, right? Yeah. And you now make sure that you can connect either through the monastery or for this straight line. So in terms of like how this works spatially, this is really, really brilliant. Your field meeple over here. When I was sort of criticizing this move initially, I forgot that you're actually going to drop a farmer here. But maybe I think this connection at the bottom still would have been enough. Yeah, it probably would have been enough anyway, because then you would have already had accomplished it, and the monastery is still a super high impact tile for you. So, yeah, you do this, and then they probably like score 3 points or something. Oh yeah, of course, this is better. Of course, they don't have a connection tile, but because they have so many meeples, they can just simply drop a farmer. Yeah. So we just have to dump this tile. We don't have anything special that we can do. So we win with the monastery only. They find a very nice move here. Yeah, and we finally do get the monastery and get the 8 points. So I think you're going to be ending up winning with a couple of points. And this here is certainly a very, very neat idea. And also here, building the square for the monastery was also a neat idea, because you kind of need the monastery to win. But then probably I prefer the field connection at the bottom, just because there's so there were 3 tiles that fit here. It was, I think, pretty much 100% guaranteed. Like a move in the end game that invests 1 meeple and gives you guaranteed 17 points cannot really be a mistake. And then if you're hoping for the monastery here anyway, well, you can just not score the field connection here, but you can score the 9 points here. And so it turns out that, okay, so with this move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you got 6 plus 9, or 18 plus 9, 27 points. Okay, in that way it would have been 26 points. But if you see here, oh, you're actually 13 points ahead, so that is even more than enough. So even though this is an incredibly clever idea, to see the potential of this field meeple being connected not only through this monastery, but through back-to-back straight lines, sometimes simpler is best, and just dropping a farmer here would have probably done the job as well. Alrighty. So much for the first game. So like at 500, 550 level. The next game is going to be at a 200 level. I'm super excited about that, because I don't do a lot of that on my channel. And it kind of makes sense. I typically analyze like master games or games from the World Championship and games from different tournaments, just because you want to learn from the best. But I very often gloss over some moves, calling them obvious. But actually, I would really like newer players who are just new to competitive Carcassonne to benefit from this channel. So our next game is going to be from our viewer with the screen name Vika and Lotta Consonants. And this will be a game. So you see, so we're playing a stronger opponent. So we're rated 200 and playing against a 400 rated player. So I'm still going to turn on the script for analyzing, even though at a 200 level, you're not expected to keep track of tiles. Well, I mean, you're kind of expected to know, that there are like 2 monasteries with the road, and sort of know which tiles exist, which tiles don't, and maybe to count in crucial situations if you've seen my tile counting video, or at least to do rough counts. Alrighty. And I'm not going to go in like super neat, super detail about the opening, no, not about the opening moves, but I'm not going to go in like into those details that only impact the win probability for a couple percentage points. All right, so the opponent should meeple some kind of road. They do that. That's great. We're getting meeple back. Yeah, great early field meeple. But you see, even though this field is only 3 points, it will be connected to a larger field, which will be 6 points. And then there's a green square over here to drop a 3rd city cap. And there is going to be, if if green loops his roads, or their road, well, Rismo does sound a bit more like a man's name than the woman's name, even though it could be maybe not a first name at all. I'd say when they loop the road, the field will grow even further. So yeah, love this early field meeple. They do that. That's great. So we just start building cities, give ourselves another connection square. That's great. They're trying to loop the road. And now here, I think what do you do? Oh, okay, interesting. So you start a second city. Oh no, you start a road. So actually, if you have a city tile, use it as a city. Because cities are worth more than roads. The road is worth like 2 points, and well, the city is also worth 2 points, but then when you add another tile, the road's going to be worth 3 points, but when you add another tile here, your city is going to be worth 2 more points, and so on. So yeah, so it's better to start another tile here, and even though it looks like it hinders your opponent a bit, actually it's more helps them, because there's still plenty of tiles, look, 16 that fit here, right? Including 8 city caps. And then when they place there, they score 1 point for the road and 4 points for the city. And it's a lot of points. I don't like giving points to my opponent. Yeah, so maybe like don't be overzealous with blocking unless you really see that it like hindered your opponent a lot, that you're taking away a place where he put 10 tiles and you narrow it down to like 1 tile. Well, preferably 0 tiles. They place a monastery, and so do we. Yeah, that's nice. They help you out a little bit, which is great. And I now, like, ideally, well, pretty much neither of you should be putting anything here, because this is this spot, like in most of the game, if it proceeds right, your meeples will be stuck there forever. Because you have 2 points, you have 2 points, like nobody has anything to gain or to lose. Unless one of you gets short on meeple, then they will be forced to finish this road for this. Now here comes a move that I think is the first. You can play like this. I really don't recommend this. So you're connected to the field. This field is worth 6 points. I mean, it's still probably worth fighting for, or will be worth fighting for. But here's what an experienced opponent can do. First of all, I would now, as green, simply start building my cities elsewhere. Well, even though it's maybe not that easy. And also as green, I would not place anything over here. I would wait until you do it. Because the problem is that when you connect through a space like this, if it gets blocked, let's say your opponent gets a straight line and a curve and tries to block the square, then he's going to have 8 points, you're going to have 0 points, or 3 points at most if the city gets completed. Then that's another problem. And probably eventually you're going to be the one who is going to have to complete your opponent's monastery and then, well, give him points. Then a second problem is that you want to complete the city at some point. So this means that at some point you want to put a tile here on the left. And once you do that, you create another square for your opponent to either reconnect to the field or to just block this square entirely. And now this type of move is certainly okay in the end game when there's a 30-point field and you're just looking for every which way to connect. But in the opening game, I would just simply focus on building cities. I would make the same move without a meeple and then drop a farmer later. Like, there will be opportunities, there will be more cities in the field, and there will be places to drop. So I assume you're going to connect to the road. That's great. Yeah, so far you're doing, I mean, even though that's like that was more of like high level commentary, although probably at the 200 level you should just like play a bit simpler. They have this stuff. No, we can't do much. I guess maybe just continue our city. So you're trying to break their city. That's actually doable. Yeah, that's not that bad. Again, I think maybe simpler moves are a little bit better. You are sort of saving up your spot here a little bit to try and connect to the road, and you maybe later reconnect to the city. Yeah, you can go like that for sure, but I wouldn't do these moves maybe a bit too often. Like, I would probably just add a point to my city. Certainly okay. Another monastery comes in. Yeah, I would not be shy of to meeple another monastery if I were green, because even though green wants to block the square, he can create this blocking platform differently. So green should wait until he gets another city tile, then he places a triangle here or something, and then takes a straight road. So that's how you block in a situation like this. I'm talking from green's perspective here. Alrighty. Here, there's not much what we can do. And you have your last meeple, so I really hope that you don't use your last meeple. I would maybe just place it here. And the idea is this. You pre-build a monastery spot. Although, okay, it's a bit like pre-building monastery spot is a bit of an advanced concept, so let's scrap that. But the idea is that if your opponent separates from your road, then at least you have this little stump that will be finished as well. So green gets a meeple black, you get a meeple back too. This is a very, very common tactic. Like if you connect your road to your opponent's road, and if the situation is not resolved, you actually want to finish your road from the other end to, first of all, equalize meeple-wise, and second, make sure that your opponent cannot connect to the road later. Well, let's see. That's certainly, yeah, good move. So you are actually like blocking your opponent's city. Yeah, that's no shame in doing that at all. Okay, well, that's a neat field connection, but I think that's a bit much. Yeah, that's kind of neat that they are like connecting through a unblockable tile. There are two of those remaining, but you can also block over here. If I were them, I would just take 2 points, because like this field is still not as decisive, and you can certainly fight for the field later. The reason for that being is that neither of you have enough people to kind of to do proper scoring, you know, of starting 4-point cities, using crossroads to score 2-point roads, and so on. Great move. Yeah, so this farmer is definitely a mistake. Because first of all, this field is still worth 6 points. Like, it's not worth that much. And second, by placing your last meeple, it's super risky. And here's the reason. You might have seen in my games that I do place my last meeple quite a bit. But when I do so, I make sure that I have an opportunity to place it, to get my meeple back soon. And so far, you have actually only one place where you can get a meeple back in one move. Moreover, this place doesn't count, because your opponent can, let's say, take a straight line or anything and have the number of tiles that fit here. So let's say your opponent take a straight road, and then you take a regular city cap, then you immediately lose value. Like you can't place it anywhere. The other place where you can get your meeple back is here, but then you'd be bringing your opponent into the field. It's kind of what they want. That's interesting. So they make sure that neither of you have meeples. I like to call it the Ostrovsky move. Those of you who are familiar with Russian literature will understand. Or the Karandyshev move, to be a bit more specific. Yeah, you're giving yourself a point, but you see already, like with this move, you lost 2 points of value because you don't have a meeple to score this. Then you get super fortunate that your opponent helps us out a little bit, that they actually also bring you both meeple back, and now you're able to score 4 points. And now your position is starting to look pretty good. Okay, yeah, they continue the city. That's great. And I think now you're about to do a move that at first was what I thought was brilliant, but then it turned out to be a mistake. So like this, it's a brilliant move, and like that, it's a big mistake. So the reason, again, is like with this, without a meeple, this move makes it super hard for your opponent to finish the city, and you're actually leaving them meepleless. temporarily, because they would need 1, 2, 3 tiles to finish the city, and at the time it's possible to re-attack that city. Also, this square has become now vulnerable, and you will actually be able to block it. Well, by placing a meeple here yourself, you are connecting to the city, and then you're trying to which is actually worth only 3 points. So it's not even worth fighting for. And then what your opponent's gonna do, they're going to. So like in this situation, that like green pretty much has won the game. Like if green, let's say if now green takes if green is an experienced player, suddenly, let's say if somebody who's like over 600 elo points, let's say, they will probably win this position, like no matter if they run out of tiles. The strategically how you win this from green is you make sure no meeples come out. You just score quick points. Like you score 4 points over here. You just like build around stuff, and then you maybe even leave alone the field. Okay, so this is another one. So you're adding 1 point to yourself. But actually, like if you want to share the city, then there is really no point in building this. So a better move for you is, well, to connect to this road actually, because that's what you wanted to do in the first place. And also by connecting to this road, you are bringing yourself 1 tile away from having a meeple back. A second best move is to take this curve and to place it over here to add 1 point to your monastery, and also to protect this square. Because actually, if your opponent gets, let's say if your opponent gets the same tile that you did, your opponent could block your monastery as well. So like once you are without meeples for whatever reason, then you are looking to make productive moves, then try to make a move that even helps you a little bit, rather than is kind of a neutral move that helps neither opponent. Oh, hi, Corelli. Yes, we saved your game for last. Yeah, exactly. So they take the stuff. We should probably, I guess we can connect to the field. This won't hurt. Yeah, well done. So like this field is very good. But the problem is, like, if you don't have enough meeples to actually score these, to score points for cities and roads, then like this field will not be enough against of a player who is like on point about a strategy for winning games. For example, one move that they can do is, I don't know, they can like place a tile over here, the one that they had, to try and block the square and make sure that you don't equalize the field. Or they could place it over here. Let's see what they do. Okay, they actually also make a decent move. Okay, so now you connect to the road with the same type of tile. It's as if like your past self is listening to the stream and following the advice. Oh yeah, well done for that. And now they should, I think, take 2 points and block your monastery. That would hurt you quite bad. But oh man, that's so you see your opponent helps you a little bit, which is often. So they take 2 points, but actually they equalize the city and they bring you closer to getting a meeple back. Also, they had 3 points and you had 2 points, so they are like losing 1 point as well. So it's a move that is net +1 for them. So +2 for the road, -1 for sharing an unequal city, and also bring you closer to completion. And of course, yeah, well done, you're taking an advantage for that. So if you are in a situation where you're down on meeples, where you don't have a meeple left, then you probably have to, in order to get back in the game, to start building some shared features. And yeah, they build the monastery. I guess with this one we don't have. Oh, but you see, but now you're blocking their monastery, but also you're blocking your own field connection. And in fact, it's in Black's interest to put a curve over here and to have 8 points for this monastery versus your 3 points for this. Well, if you've seen my stream before, I've used for this the concept of a mini battle, like with 2 typically blocked, not always blocked meeples in the same area. and it's a standard way of like the monastery one being on top because they would have 8 versus 3. Yeah, and precisely because of this, that's why these typically field connections like this are rushed. So it's good to fight for the field, but try to, like, when you play, it's sometimes okay to wait for a better tile. Alright, so that's an excellent move from them. Well, maybe they played it because it was like one of the 2 legal moves. But the idea is that they are now creating a connection platform with which they can snatch over the city, and that would be one way how they win this game. Or, at least if they make sure that you cannot finish the city in with 1 tile, that you would need 2 tiles, so you cannot get your meeple back that soon. You go here, which again, it doesn't do much. Like, I see that you're trying to block this square, but it's not that easy to do, and also your opponent has this 1 tile anyway, so I would probably start blocking the square only if I get this tile that they can't fit over here. A better move is just simply to continue your monastery like this. Luckily, your opponent helps you again, sort of building the city, which they should either break, so it's very, very good for us. Yeah, and you see now you do this. Like, this is already the 2nd instance in a row, so kind of you make a mistake first, and then your past self listens to the stream, if that's a move that benefits you with the exact same tile. So yeah, I would say, like, if you see a good move, kind of do it now, don't do it later. Yeah, probably by this time your like monastery already been finished. And you see, yeah, that's what they did. They now wisely completed this block, made sure that you don't connect to this field, and they win this little mini battle over here. Yeah, great job trying to finish the city, trying to get the meeple back. That's important. Okay, so this is great for us. It's a road ending tile. There are 2 things that you could do. You can either get a meeple back immediately just because you need it so much, or you can place it like this and get a meeple back on the next move, and the idea that with this move you also add 1 point to your monastery. This is like this again would be a really advanced way of thinking, so I think it's completely fine if you just get a meeple back. What do you do? Oh, yeah, so it's again like it's a move that I see. Maybe you're kind of trying to block this, but there's still a lot of tiles left that fit here. Well, there are 4 tiles left, but let's say even if you don't know, you don't have to know the number of tiles, but probably you have to know that there are many curves in this game at some point, and you don't even have to count. You can just assume that probably there's still curves, and your opponent can connect with a curve, and they can get 3 points with a curve. So definitely, like, especially when you're behind on meeples, just try to either get a meeple back or at least add a point to yourself. Yep, and now they made sure they protected the square, and now they'll be able to connect over here. And probably if they're an advanced player, if you both get a meeple back, then they drop a second farmer over here, and then with 1 move, with 1 curve, with extra 3 points, they connect both farmers. So that's like a super high impact move they can make. But you see now, you see, again, 3rd time, even though it's a slightly different tile, you're now like, your past self is listening to my suggestion. So now you're adding 1 point to your monastery, and you're bringing this road one tile away from completion. Okay, so well done for that. So luckily, your opponent helps you out again. So if you both have meeples, then this is a really good move, because they are taking a 12-point field, which is really a lot for a closed game like this, and they are also making sure that you're not able to take it. But since you don't have meeples, they're in no rush. So if I were them, I would first take the 4 points for the city, and on my next move, or maybe even not in my next move, like later, way later, drop my last meeple on this field. Yeah, and so they actually help us out a little bit. They are now taking the giving you both meeples back. And even though it also gives them a meeple back, since you're behind, it's like more meeples in the game gives you more chances. And I think now you have an excellent chance, and unfortunately you probably do here another mistake. So, but it's fine. Like you see, I think you placed a monastery here. Yeah, I think that's what you did, and it's 6 points, and it's an appealing monastery. So, and you could try and come back in the game by building up this monastery, but the problem again, this is your last meeple. So by the time you finish your monastery, if you finish it, given that there are 19 tiles remaining, well, you probably could have scored more points with that meeple. Also, this is actually not 6 points; it's 4 points because you are taking 6 points and investing a meeple, whereas you can just place the monastery in the same place and score 2 points for the road, and not invest a meeple. So this means that you're investing a meeple for a 4-point difference. But most importantly, where else can you get way more points than 2 points? Well, I mean, the experienced players in your chat will see this, but that's kind of another thing. If you see a road end or a crossroads, just kind of before playing, scan the map carefully where you can score a road. And this road over here is 6 points. It's such a move. It's first of all 6 points for the road, and you get a meeple back immediately. So it's the same as the monastery, but you get a meeple back immediately. Plus, this is kind of a more advanced thing. You also make you eliminate a field connection opportunity for your opponent, because like this field doesn't have this edge on the hair through the left. And I think I know why you made this move, because like kind of, well, monasteries, these are lots of points, and like monasteries typically look nice, and also in my streams I advocate for monasteries a lot. But the reason why I advocate for monasteries, the only reason why I do so, is because monasteries can give you lots of points. Now, and this is very often the case, but if something else can give you more points, or the same number of points without investing of a meeple, well then of course you do that instead. So yeah, so just try to look for these moves like this. And even if there were no 6 point roads, then even a 2 point road is probably better at this point. Because also there are yeah, you just like really need a meeple real bad. So your opponent scores 7 points, and you're probably gonna get a meeple back, so at least that's fortunate. But now at least, but imagine like, yeah, so that's a very good move. That's definitely a very good approach that you managed to get yourself out of this difficult situation without meeples by completing a shared feature. That's certainly very smart. But yeah, but imagine now you would have had the same number of points and also 2 meeples with which you could even win your opponent's field. All right, so what are they going to do? They're probably going to like take some 2 points. It's hard to recommend something at this point. It's really hard. Probably just build up your monastery, and yeah. So this is a good move in principle. If you have 2 meeples, it's a 9-point field. You're connecting to an 18-point field, and this is a field that you will have to fight for. And if anything, maybe I like it even in this position. But like this position itself is like really difficult. So if you had 2 meeples now, then, well, basically that's kind of one of the reasons why you want to have meeples, because there's this 9-point field that you sort of have to take. But then again, it's not the easiest thing to live without meeples. Then it's a good question what we do. We could just add 1 point to our monastery, I guess. Or we could go here and eliminate a field connection. You add 1 point to monastery, great move. You go here. Oh, look at that, good move from your opponent. They take 2 points, and they also completely block your monastery. But also, even though they do so, this move wasn't a mistake. You still have to try like to build up stuff. Then what you do? You do this. This one I wouldn't do, because, well, it completes a city that doesn't give you points, but also it's still technically in your opponent's field at the moment. I mean, it's still okay because you're gonna probably share this field. So instead, I would take this tile, and maybe like place it somewhere like this, trying to eliminate your opponent's opportunities from connecting to this field from elsewhere. But let's see what they do. They're also actually doing something quite smart. So they are pre-building empty cities, knowing that they don't have to meeple them. And then they hope to take the 2 remaining triangles and just trying to complete them to the end. So what are you going to do? Maybe here? We can go here to try eliminating field connection. Oh, of course, you connect to the field. Yeah, that's better. That's much better. They are trying to connect. Well, let's see if you find it. So you can go here. You can also go here, which is quite strong, because it severely reduces the number of tiles that they have left to connect. That's completely fine. Oh, they do this, which is a mistake. They kind of pre-building a city for themselves. But now I think you made an excellent move here, and is placing like this and making sure that they don't connect. And that's the move that pretty much wins you the game. Yeah, great play over here. So they created another blocking square, and now there's 0 tiles that fit here. And even if you're like if you're not keen on counting, first of all, it does just simply look like a very restrictive tile, and you can have a quick look that 1, 2, 3, yeah, all of them are out. So that's absolutely great for us. Now they should probably meeple the city. Yeah, I already placed a meeple, and that's quite strong from you. You now adding 1 point to your monastery. That's great stuff. Now they have this monastery tile, which would have fit here, but you block this square, and that's why they're not getting into this field, which is great. So, oh, you're now placing this move, which is also absolutely great, because you are making sure that, even though that's fine, you didn't count the tiles, and like at the 200 level you don't have to necessarily, but you know that there could be a city cap remaining, and so you are preventing them from potentially scoring 3 points. And also you don't really have anywhere else to use this road, so you might just as well go here. So that's very good. That's very good. And now they do manage to connect. And here's the predicament, but because they managed to connect to the field, they give you a meeple back, and finally you score 9 points for the monastery and get your meeples back, and I think you're gonna win this game in 1 point shortly, which I see. So yeah, this move here was like absolutely excellent, and that's the one that won the game. So first of all, from Green's perspective, probably because red, you were in a very difficult position, so Green should have won this with correct play. And one thing is, like, because the point difference is so slow, they didn't even maybe have to connect to the field necessarily. They just had to like deploy their meeples a bit more productively. So let's say they take this ruin, and I don't know, they take a 6-point road, and then they win because they don't have this 3-point field, but they have a 6-point road. So they kind of, I think they got a bit too greedy with the field, even though it's a natural move. What else? Interesting, also, this connection from Green was a bit too ambitious. Yeah, they got a bit unlucky that I think you got all 3 curves, but they got their connection at the end anyway, but in such a way that gives you a meeple back, and with the last meeple you sort of managed to score the points for the monastery. And that was unavoidable, because if they don't connect, then they have a 0-point farmer, and you have like a 12-point field over there, and so you win because of that. From your perspective, it's simply one big strategic thing that you really gotta fix is meeples, is just using the last meeple too frequently. So if you use the last meeple, then make sure that it's for a good reason, that it's actually to score some points. Because here I think you sort of, like, when you place the last meeple in this city, it just made sure that you equalized your opponent's city, which was not worth anything. So which was essentially like very close to being blocked. Yeah, and also make sure that you really need it, because at some point they can be something that's more valuable. So you see this monastery gave you 8 points, whereas this road would have given you 6 points and a meeple back, and then you can, deploy another meeple for way more than this 2-point difference between 6 points and 8 points. And yeah, so that would be kind of just like the big thing is meeple management. Other than that, like very good, connection to the field, blocking the field connection, building up a monastery, connecting to the roads. Yeah, that's all very, very nice. And also trying to get meeples back when you have 0 meeples by completing a shared feature. That was definitely a good approach, but but try not to get yourself in this position in the first place. Another thing, it's a bit more minor thing, is when you do field connections, especially at the start of a game, you can be a bit more patient about it and try to do so in an organic manner. Because you see this guy over here ended up being a little bit awkward, and because you see the best case scenario is you connect through here, and then you finish their monastery, you give them points, and then they have a meeple back, which they can use to reconnect to the field, maybe somewhere from here. But the difference is that they have these extra 9 points in the pocket, or at least this extra point that you gave them. So yeah, that would be pretty much my 2 tips. But great one. Yeah, as you see, your opponent also, I think green kind of made a lot of mistakes, and we managed to capitalize on them pretty well. And what a way to finish the game with a double monastery. That's favorite stuff. Yeah, so thank you for sharing that. I hope the tips were useful, and you know what? I'm gonna get myself some extra water, because I'm gonna have to talk a lot before my last bit of the game. Save the best for last. That's that's gonna be so entertaining. I'm getting myself a refill. I'll be back in I'll try to get it done under 1 minute. Alrighty, we are back. So where was our game? Yeah, sorry for the wait. I know this technically. Wait. Yes. So finally we have a game where somebody's sharing a loss. Well, that's a bit of a spoiler, but you saw that anyway. So before we move to our final game of today, sorry for the wait. So first of all, but it's super important for my voice to stay hydrated. I also have noticed it when I used to teach full time. that was like super necessary because you talk to make sure that you never lose your voice, and also it's super important that the water has to be warm, so it takes some extra time. So of course we're going to take, the game was sent by Corelli from the UK national team, and it's gonna be our protagonist, and we're playing against probably the best player in Catalonia, or maybe one of the two best players in Catalonia, along pair of Vives. We're playing against David with the screen name Dev-Teen. Yeah, and if you didn't see, so that must have been an arena game, right? Since the ratings are not showing, but I think Corelli was rated around just below 500, which is a bit lower than their normal rating, which is above 500, and Dev-Teen was rated like 725, something ridiculous. So we're forced to continue our opponent's city, and now Red does something that's already, this game is so derailed from what I'm used to. Like, if you're Red, like, my normal move is just start a new city. Red just goes all in and starts, you know what? So here's what Red is saying with this move. Not only am I going to keep the city, but I'm going to complete the city to justify the two meeples, and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, probably there's still something that we can do about it. It's a very committal move. It's a very high-risk move, so I don't play them typically, but like it makes for a very entertaining game for sure. So actually, let me know, Braces, since you're here, like, were you like surprised to see that Red did this, or not? Because now you see, like, you don't even have the tiles to do much thing. You just have to start a city elsewhere. They take a monastery, and then you take a monastery. Maybe here. Oh, on the left. Here. Oh, actually, here. I like it here. Yeah. Here. Yeah, I think this is slightly better. This is also doable for sure. You do it here. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Here, simply because there are more points. Yeah, because they take this. You take 4 points for the city. So far, natural moves. And that's probably the first thing. Maybe the monastery. Yeah. Dev-Teen. Now, what are they gonna do? So you see, probably if I were Red, I would just go, here, like to connect my city and start building it. They do this. I don't understand this move. I really don't. I mean, I kind of see how it makes sense because they want to complete the city triangle city cap. But I mean, this square is so vulnerable because I see what you're planning to do as Black, right? You're planning to take a straight line, another straight line, another straight line, and just block everything over here, right? That's what we do. And we place a meeple on the monastery for insurance, right? So far, so good. Okay, but we can't do that. We have to build our city. And that's good, because fighting for the city is futile. Like, they already have the meeple advantage, and then you will just end up in a mini battle with everything blocked. And yeah, so far, so good. This is another move that's so interesting. Oh, I think I see why. That's actually quite clever on their part, because even though they're sticking in a road over here, they are making sure that you can't make a loop like this. So you can't create a blocking platform of tempo. And an early farmer, well, we have a natural move. So, like, if anything, so far, I like Black in this position a bit better. The city's still vulnerable. Like, as soon as you place a straight line over here, they will need 2 triangles with a road. They will need the same tile everywhere. And if you limit the growth, this could be a ruin that is not blocked easily. Of course, Red starting a new road. Corelli saying you were surprised plus nervous. Yes, that was exactly how it would feel. Because, like, when my opponent does something that's maybe not technical, right, but super risky, I know that there is a run out where they get quickly the tile that they need, and you just lose, and there's nothing that you can do about that. But I think another thing that they're hoping for is maybe they do get their city blocked, but you spend so many resources on that block that it sort of becomes justified. So probably now is the time to do this. Like, you have yeah, like where else to do this? So this is now. You commit, everything's over here. Ah, that's the thing. Yeah. Okay, so I see what you're doing here. That's the block that you're trying to accomplish. However, there are several reasons why I think this is probably where you missed your chance. Like, this definitely goes here, because then they would need the same tile. Ah, wait, tile counter. Tile counter. All right, so they need the same tile, this triangle with the road everywhere. And then later you can take one of the squares and then build up around it. And now, the thing also why I like putting this over there is because there's this little strip of road pointing upwards. Well, if we were to put it here. And then this means that with any crossroads, you could score 2 points above and create a platform for a full block with extra value. So this is often a kind of useful tactic to use road ends to create blocking platforms with tempo. And the problem with doing this over there is exactly what, well, the tile your opponent justifies here, because you're giving him a ring road. So not only red manages to protect their city, but also they're going to score these extra points for this road, and for this road. And as we're going to find out, this will make all the difference. So now you're placing here, which I think is all right, but I probably wouldn't do this, and I would maybe just continue your city, because I think it's not, like, probability-wise, that's not how. If you're blocking on multiple fronts, you should do that in the same way. They basically should just wait until you get a straight line, and also, or a curve. Because if you're doing this, well, what could happen? Like, so you're preventing them from having this tile. But if they take this tile, they're not going to place them over here in the next move. They're going to take here and take the 4 points. So you will still have time to sort of block it properly. But you start a new city, and that's fine. And you see, they connect here anyway, so it's not kind of that much. It wasn't that much of a help. So, and I'm saying this not because the tiles came out that way, but because that's kind of typically how they would come out. So I think, even though this was well-intentioned, and like, when you block something, try to block in the most efficient way possible. Here, I'd probably go like this. First of all, attacking the city even further, and second, preparing to finish my city over here. Oh, yeah, nice. I like it. And then, now I kind of like what they do. They go here, and actually they're super close to completing their city. You could say that, well, they need 2 tiles in the same 2 places, but they are protected. And if they get a triangle on their next move, they're not going to place it over here. They're going to place it over here with a 7. Because the probability of getting 2 tiles out of 4, it's not 50%. It's 69%, or 11 over 16, like roughly. It's going to be very counterintuitive. Also, to get 2 tiles out of 3, the probability for that is not 33%, it's 50%. So, I mean, I know I've been like postponing probabilities video for a long time, but it's a very ambitious project. That's why the tile counting video took so long, and probably the probability counting video will take just as long. So, take 2 points, great. take 4 points, natural moves. So now we absolutely have to try and create... Yeah, that's great. Now you go from the correct side because you don't create a ring road. And fortunately for us, even though they do this in direct defense, we immediately going to snatch off this block. Well, phew. So at least that's sort of came out okay. And we came out relatively unscathed. The only damage from the blocking, we didn't really spend any tiles inefficiently. Maybe just this thing. Well, they're going to get these 4 points. And this rune is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 or 12 for 2 meeples. So that's actually like not a super good meeple investment. Again, both of you are still in the game, but I like black. Like now, after this, I definitely like black in this position. I think this move, believe it or not, is a slight misstep from red. I really do believe that. Well, 6-point monastery. Alexey saying that's wrong. What's happening? No, meepling monastery is not wrong, but I think the better place for red is here, next to your own monastery, because you have so many adjacent squares. First of all, you don't have so many meeples, and you better build up your monasteries efficiently. And here you will have 1, 2 squares where you can kind of get 2 points from each here, and then you place something here, you get 1 meeple back. But here, the problem is that you are now building the same monasteries in different places, and you will need the same tiles everywhere. And each move won't give you this many points. And also, the type of tiles that you need is the same. So you see 17, 17, 17, because these are the kind of tiles which share 2 pieces of land. So you can't even use straight roads. That's so sad. So you will we will need like 3 curves or something. And here you will also need curves, just like an abnormal amount of curves. So even though each of these monasteries is close to being completed, it's pretty much impossible. Well, it's very difficult to finish them both. So in fact, I very often prefer to have 2 adjacent monasteries with slightly fewer points than 2 disjointed monasteries with more points. Especially when, well, this one's is sort of okay, but like when one monastery is, like, let's say somewhere there, far away from the action, it's never going to get finished. Not because they're going to get blocked. You're not going to have simply enough moves to just dump tiles there. So, oh, hi, Pichan. Yep. So. What are we having? Yeah, so that's, I think, a misstep from your opponents, as unusual as it may seem. Finally, fantastic tile. Yes, here, drop a farmer. That's perfect. Now, black is cruising in this position. What happened? Yeah, they're doing this, and then you. Oh, you know what? You could drop a farmer here easily, no problem. Because here's the thing, you have an obscene meeple advantage. Like, you could definitely use that. Like, you should be winning this field. So let's say you don't want yourself to get blocked, because there's still 2 of these triple cities remaining, and with the triple city you can kind of prevent your field connection. Well, okay. With this triple city, they will also block the monastery, so that's. But it doesn't matter. If you take any of these 5 remaining tiles that fit here, then you score 7 points for this little field, and you have a little field for 6 points. So I think here, just easily drop a farmer, and like you have so many people, you should be just like crushing red on this field, because like red is trying to defend so many things. It's really too much for them to handle. Yeah, because they have to build road, because I said they can't use it for the monastery, and if they listened to me, then they would have been able to do that. Okay, now you connect. Yeah, that's fine. But I think you sort of could have done that a little bit more efficiently, because imagine on the previous move you had field meeple. Then on your move now, you could have placed the straight line over here, and then create a safer connection through a curve and also start harassing this monastery. Whereas now, if they get a curve first, then they will add 1 point to the monastery and they will limit your squares. So for example, as Dev D now, I would probably... No, actually I can't do... As Dev D now, as red, I will have to go here, I think, and trying to get my meeple back from the monastery, which is exactly what they do. Good that their past self is watching the stream. You connect, which is great. They take the 4 points. 12-point ruin. But yeah, but still, this position is well, okay, they're gonna get a meeple back from the monastery. Like, it's playable, but it's difficult for red. Okay, you connect. Brilliant. So, sort of, like, the thing, it ended up... the situation ended up pretty much, like, almost the exact same as it would have been had you dropped a farmer here. So I guess it's fine. I do think that the probabilities were slightly better with the sequencing that I suggested. And they can't do much. That's... You're getting straight lines. What can you do? Oh, I know what you can do. Straight line goes here. You create a threat of completing the monastery. Yeah, I like that. You block this. I think it's not worth it. Yeah, I think it's not worth it. Because, like, you can... I mean, he can still defend. And then if you block this, he can block you. So it's an okay move, but I think, like, this is more efficient. Even starting a road is more efficient because there's still 5 crossroads left in the game. But this I really like because it just creates a serious threat that they have to deal with. Like, there's still... How many monasteries? 3 monasteries in the game. Like, it's huge. Because if they don't do something about it, then you just win. You get 9 points and you place another monastery next to your monastery. That's so annoying. And they can't do anything about it. Because, like, if they... Well, let's say if they take a straight line... and if they place it here on the 27, well, okay, you still have the 50% chance of completing a monastery, and then you can block it later. So I think I've told this, like, in my stream a lot, you know, finish monastery with a number of monasteries, but, like, it's so annoying to the opponent, it's so impactful that just the threat of doing so can really mess with your opponent. So this is not a bad move. Like, my only criticism is that there is a better move in the position. Because now I think with this, if they finish a city and then if they drop a farmer, they're right back in the game. They get a meeple back. They have a 12-point ruin. Like, you can play like this. Because you're probably going to have to go somewhere here, right? Oh, yeah, block. Sure, cool. That's all cool. But then I have a feeling, I don't remember what happened, but, like, very often the blocker becomes the blockee. Like, if they take a curve, maybe you're going to get blocked over here. But the thing is why I think this block is less impactful, because now they will make sure that they will never place anything themselves. They will wait for a curve, place for a curve here, and try to block your monastery too. Or you will be forced to build the square and... well, like, give yourself 0 points, basically, because you will be just contributing to getting your meeple back as opposed to actually gaining points. And also, if you get a monastery, this spot is now not that great, because if you place it over here, then again, you will be the one that needs to fill this hole. So, well, let's actually show this. I don't remember what you did. Well, this move is probably still good. Yeah, it's still good. But then it's not that juicy because, see, with this monastery, you created another monastery spot, sort of, which is great. But this spot with a 14 is now, like, not super attractive because you can't place a monastery here because the square is already blocked. You should probably still go here, should probably still spend a meeple, but it's not, like... as juicy, as opposed to with the previous move. Imagine straight line goes here, now over here you have a 7-point monastery and you have a meeple back. That's it. That probably would be like a victory right there. Oh, whoa, what's that? Yeah, so that's a big mistake. Like, that, you don't throw away monasteries like this, because I know what you're trying to do, but Yeah, so over here, now you still meeple this Marish, you still get a meeple back because essentially now you got 0 points. Yes, you could say that. Well, he got quite lucky that he got the triangle on the next move. Well, not that lucky. There were still 5 triangles plus a splitter, so 6 suitable tiles remaining. Also, a triple city is sort of okay for him if he places, let's say, a triple city something like this. Then the city is also saved, and also like you're ahead. Like you don't you can afford having this thing. What I was going to say. Like, yeah, you can afford this city being completed. But also here's another problem. Like, you're ahead, your opponent is behind, and now not only you've wasted a move, but also you've created another risk in the position they can take advantage of. Because what this monastery does, it creates another monastery spot over here. Whom does that benefit? The side with the more difficult position. Because if they get the monastery, I guarantee you they're gonna place their last meeple if they have to over here and quickly finish over here and get easy 9 points. So I think depending on like, if this were a 30-point city that would decide the game, and then you know that there's no coming back from that, then maybe it can be mandated to waste your monastery. But actually, there was a super interesting game from the semifinals of the European Championship of 2021 of Russia versus Latvia, and the game was who was playing? Oh yeah, I think it was Sergei Tarakhanov versus Maris Lazdinch, or Serge T versus Olde Denver, and you can look up that game. That was actually super interesting. So there, the Russian player lost the game because they wasted the monastery like this. There was a big, and the city was like way bigger. It was like 30 points. Yeah, it was actually 30 points. Yeah. And even though they had a spot where they could like take a 7-point monastery themselves and meeple it and get compensation for that city. Instead they spend it on this blocking attempt. Maris, the Latvian player, already got the triangle, finished up their city, and this monastery was wasted. And I think the game ended up with like a 3-point difference because the Russian players started kind of making all these kind of comebacks, but it was not enough. And with this monastery, it actually would have been enough. So I think like game strategy wise, So this, they might even actually meeple the field if they have to. Well, yeah, that's fine if they don't, because it's gonna get blocked. So that's why here, I think a good move would be to just block this monastery spot. That's not the worst idea. Simply to make sure that your opponent does not get lucky, even though now, maybe I'm not sure how enviable your position is. No, I guess it's still good, even though you're 10 points behind. You're minus 12 over here, so you're like minus 22. But this field, it should, like, if you win it, because it's already plus 15, so it's already like minus 7. But you have a meeple. This is going to be roughly equal. Yeah, so I guess now the position is kind of equal, actually. So you do this, which is actually also quite reasonable. And the idea is that you make it harder for them to fight for the field. And then if you get a monastery, you just win. Which I actually rather like. Yeah, I rather like this move. There's, of course, a problem that's like sometimes this gets blocked. You end up only with a 3-point farmer. But I think you can afford this. And for example, now, I don't think I can just recommend anything for... I think the only thing I recommend for red is starting a new city. Oh, okay, wait. Oh, let me just check your responses. Oh, the cloister move surprised you from the opponent. Yeah. and the ruin buildup for sure. I mean, I can like understand it, but I don't think it quite works mathematically. But when it does, again, like when it does, this move, like the ruin buildup, sometimes what this did is like sometimes you just lose and there's nothing that you can do. So it's definitely quite appealing to try to do. Actually, you can try do that like if you're playing a much stronger opponent who you think is a much stronger opponent, that will be so frustrating for them to lose like this. There's a game where one of our Latvian players, Paul Skautis, was playing the world champion from Romania, and like probably you would say that you would probably expect the world champion to be the favorite, and he ended up like doing something like this, basically building a gigantic city, which was like worth 44 points in the end because it got completed, and then winning with a 1 point difference. Yeah, so these things can happen. Oh yeah, postpone the second farmer. Yeah. So that's absolutely understandable, but sometimes it also makes sense to drop. Oh, and Vika is saying it was eye-opening to see the meeple scarcity in the replay, probably referring to the previous game. Alrighty. And they start a new city. Oh, now Red... this sequence by Red, I think what's going to happen is will be like super strong. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, wait, no, but you block your own monastery. No, this one I'm not a fan of. Yeah, you're creating a blocking platform against red meeples, but you actually block your own. So, so basically, you're hurting yourself more than you're hurting the opponent. And I'm saying this not because only they got the city cap, but like it's immediate negative impact against you versus potential negative impacts against your opponents in the future. Okay, so you're probably going to take some points. 3 points, yeah, sure. Why not? Oh, look at that. Now you're going to win. And you're going to take the 8 points. No! Take the 8 points. That's your game move. Like the stuff over here. This. It's look. Such a beauty. And there would be 5 tiles left to complete your monastery, and then you have a 3-against-1 advantage versus your opponent. Then you just win. Like then there's no coming back for them. It doesn't matter they're 10 points ahead right now. All you gotta do is like get your monastery meeple back. So these are 9 extra points. Yeah, you lose 3 points from here, but here's the thing. You're probably going to have to connect this meeple to the field at some point, because red still has 1 field connection. And if you postpone the connection for a really, really long time, then what red can do, red can wait patiently until you run out of tiles that fit here, and then just connect the tile, to the field, equalize the 15 points, and then you'll be left with this 3-point guy over here. So like definitely, and also like it's quite an intuitive thing. Pretty much, if there's a monastery spot for 8 points, and you have 2 meeples, and there is even a slight chance of getting a meeple back, it has to be done. Like it's yeah. So I think that's the main issue over here. But so probably maybe that's something to fix with your game, because like your moves were pretty much on point, and everything that I've been criticizing so far, they had to do something to do with the monasteries, like either by placing the monasteries differently or building up them differently. And also this actually is not only about your moves, but also about your opponent's moves. So yeah, you know. But okay, it's fine. You can still win this. Let's still try winning this. What's a great tile, right? We're gonna build up a city. Good, excellent. And they're building this, and that's why I think the sequence is so brilliant. They recognize they are actually ahead on current points, that this will be hard to compete for, and so they are building a counter field for 9 points. I think the concept of a counter field is something that I've talked, not in my videos, only on streams of like tournaments. Oh yeah. So Corelli's saying you must have been too consumed by the idea of hindering the opponent. I know that happens for sure, but I think nothing is more hindering for the opponent than just getting 9 points straight out and straight up. And also, like if you're in the mindset of hindering your opponent, try to think of it about like not +9 for you, but it's -9 for them. Maybe then it starts sounding way more attractive. Alrighty, so that's really brilliant of them. And then here I would be really debating myself between two moves. One is getting 3 points here, and the second move, which I would really consider and maybe even prefer, this is not great because it's just not worth enough points. This connection, it's not worth it. This 9-point field. And the more I think about it, the more I like, because there are 18 tiles remaining. You're probably still going to get a meeple back from this unless you're really unlucky. In some scenarios, you even get a meeple back from this, even though, again, this is slightly blocked, but still 5 tiles fit here, 10 tiles fit here, that's fine. You get a curve, you get a triangle with a curve, that's all good. But if you do this move, it will make them impossible to get 9 points. And I get the idea, I think, so what you do? You score 3 points. Again, I empathize with quick points a lot, but I think this is one of those places where you have to forego that. Because you get 3 points, and then they're going to... okay, so they might do this. Like, even if I were them, I would consider seriously... Although they do need the meeple back, yeah. For them it's trickier, so they should do this. But I would even consider meepling this field for them. Okay, so now for you, 2 moves. One is here. But no, better just take the field. Take the field. Maybe not like this. Maybe like this. Yes, like this. So that, yeah. So that there's no connection point. Perfect. Although there is technically a connection point, but... So let's see what you do. You take like this. So it's okay, but I prefer the other way. Because there's the easy connection point from here. And I think that's what they're going to do. Well, yeah, that's a strong move from them because they're still crossroads. This is not easily blockable. Well, yeah, this monastery is not as attractive because then it wouldn't be finishable. Probably you're going to have to take some 3 points. But then why not 3 points? Oh, then you're trying to sort of create this even huger field. I have to say yeah, this one I like. This one I really like. Even though it's like not likely to be completed, then at least you're going to have a thing that loops around. That's a really strong move from them. That's a really strong move. I like it. Yeah, so they equalize this, and now because they're kind of like a lot ahead on current points, and I think they took their chances. Like they meepled all the monasteries, this thing, and now they're back in the game. Whereas with us, it's now getting a little bit trickier. So I wonder maybe we can just go here and create a 50-50 for the game, basically. Because if we do this, then we probably win. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I rather like it. Do we do that? Oh, you do that. Nice. They're probably going to connect to the farm. Which should they even? So it does seem like they're basically hoping for this tile, right? That sort of you both agreed that this is what the game would be decided upon. Oh no, it doesn't matter basically because they're still gaining points with this connection, and maybe they're hoping that if you do get this tile, this meeple's not going to get connected, and they will still have a connection spot through here, for example, like this. So there are still some desperation tactics that would be available for them. Or here, through this tile. Oh, that's such interesting geometry in this position. I love this game. Okay, so... yeah, there's not many things that they can do. What are we going to do? What can we do? Is it okay to start a 4-point road? And you know what? Okay, here, let's actually take a step back, because we got to really evaluate the position. Because it has been such a roller coaster that it's not clear who's ahead, who's behind. So we're at -22. We are at -34 because of the ruin. We're at -33 because of the offsetting monasteries. We're at -32 because of the city mini battle on the left. We're at -29 because of our field. We're equal here. And we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're at -14. Well, this is not great. However, if we do take this tile, then we will add 9 points to our field, and we get a meeple back. And we'll probably meeple this ruin. And with this ruin, it's going to give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the monastery, plus 9. So basically, if we get this tile, then we go from -15, -14. Did I say -14 or -15? I think -14, I said, yeah. To +1. So that's great. So probably yeah, we're just hoping for this tile, basically. And what red can do, red should probably think of a way how they can win, even if you get this tile. And one way I would just consider starting a loop. Yeah, why not? We'll start a 4-point road, like over here, for red. Then this means that they can get 4 extra points, and then if you get your 15-point move here, then you're still going to be ahead. There's also a bit of a problem that sometimes red can win if they get the city cap at the end, and if there are no cities to score points, they just connect you to this field. Or they could just score 4 points here. But I think there's still a win path for black, predicated on this tile. Without this tile, I don't see it. Maybe you can win if you get lucky enough to score lots of quick points, if you get all crossroads, and then at the end you connect to this farm by looping. Yeah, so let's say if you get lucky enough to have a city cap, a crossroads, curve, you take these 12 points. Yeah, then you probably win. So you still have different win conditions. The easiest one, of course, would be getting that tile. Well, let's see what happens. So, I don't quite see. Okay, I guess maybe it's it sort of blocks this connection. No, it's blocks the blocking square for the connection. It's something like this. But I would probably just go ahead and start the loop if I were them. You are going to take 3 points. However, you are going to take a field connection away. But that's interesting. You're taking a field connection away from them, but also from yourself. No, I think you're going to still have to do that, though. Because then you will be a few points ahead. So actually now if you get the tile that you need, then you will win. You will be for like 4 points ahead. Because they now... so let's say you were at -14, I think. You're now at -11. They do this. They don't even bother this. Now, with this move, you're at -7, right? And also, you've created another field connection over here, which you could use. They get the thing. That's problematic for you. And you're still at -7, if I remember correctly. I could remember it incorrectly. Wait, you have to be more at -7. Let's just do a recount again. I'm not that great at this. Because you see, again, they don't even bother making the loop. I think they're recognizing that they're actually quite far ahead. No, let's do a recount. It's important. I remember that this ruin was 12, right? So we're at minus 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This field is 15. So we're equal. We're at minus 12 plus 3. We're at minus 9 plus 1 minus 8 plus 1 minus 7. No, check this out. Oh, I kept track of points correctly. How is that possible? How do we win from minus 7? And we know that this is not connected. Because here's the problem, right? If we, and I know that you assume that we're knowing the tiles, and especially if we're playing fast time controls, it's really, really hard to see. My intuitive moves would be just grab the 4 points. But the problem is we're still 3 points behind. And how do we still get those 3 points? We're probably hoping for like another quick point tile, but that's 2 points. Like, I just don't see the win. However, maybe the move is to go here and drop a farmer. Then, there are still curves remaining that go here. Well, there's mostly curves left in the game. If you connect to the farm, it gives you plus 12. That puts you at plus 5. That leaves you with 0 meeples, though. So and now your opponent needs to somehow score 5 points or more to equalize. But there aren't too many places to do that in that position. So one way to do that is they could draw this tile, score 2 points here, and they score a 4-point throw. Then that would work. But then they would have to be lucky enough to draw that tile. Because if you draw that tile, then they don't win. What else? Or they could just simply block your field connection, but that's really unlikely. So yeah, so I think really maybe your win condition here is to go for this 12-point field with your last meeple, and then just hope that they don't catch up with the extra 5 points. But let's see what you do here. Yeah, you take 4 points, and I can't blame you for this move. It's so natural. But probably from this point, you're at minus 3, but it's an insurmountable minus 3. That's a very interesting situation. That's something like having a small point difference looks like you're very, very close, but actually the probability of winning is exactly 0%. Well, how else could you win? Yeah, because I think in order to win now, they need to just take this road, and that's it. Then they win. They loop this road around. Because they will be at plus 7, and there's no way you're making 7 points in 2 moves. Like, that's what they should be thinking. But they don't do that. So, good for you. But still, how are you going to make 3 points? Net 3 points. So probably here, after this move, yeah, I think maybe you had to get lucky. Like, you had to draw this tile, get 2 points. Yes. No, wait. So then there's minus. Then you're at minus 1. Then they get. Well, they have to get a curve, maybe. Then let's say they go here, like they take some sort of 3-point road. And then you take this and you get 4 and you tie. But that's, you see, that's a very, very iffy win condition, no? But even that, and probably that's why, like, red, if the red wanted to be really, really precise, that's the moment where you count out the point, they recognize the difference. That's it. They go here, they take 4-point road, and the difference is 7 points, and that's an insurmountable difference. Well, there's not much what you can do. Yeah, I guess you just take 4 points. Yeah, because they're going to take this and, well, if they so choose. Then, of course, you have to know what their tile. You have to take not this 4-point road, but exactly this 4-point road. And which is what you do. And so you get this 1-point difference, because now it looks like, oh, temporarily we are now ahead at plus 1, but they're going to take 3 points for the road. And they always could have. Wait, where did they go? Wait, what did they do? Oh yeah, they took a 3-point field, and if I remember correctly, if I calculate correctly, they're winning the +2. So I think the end game is quite instructive that win probabilities are not the same as points, and probably you had to find this really, really counterintuitive field connection of dropping your last meeple and hoping for something like this. And then knowing the tiles, of course, red had to, but even without knowing the tiles, red could recognize that taking this 4-point road, which potentially loops into a 6 and 7-point road, would have been enough to create a 7-point insurmountable difference. And in fact, by skipping a move, they like gave you this little bit of equity of drawing a quick point tile first. So yeah, that's such an interesting game. And thank you so much for sharing that. Definitely one of my favorite ones to analyze ever so far. So if we do this at the start, so first of all, like the super interesting ruin by red, you could definitely like play like this, but it's super double-edged. So precision in blocking, that's one thing. Second is monastery play. For red, when you're at a meeple shortage, kind of building 2 monasteries adjacently together, that would have given them more points, actually. They would have gotten all the same stuff, but with extra steps. So then a second aspect is building up monasteries from you. Like when you... Oh, man, I've already shot a video about a classic Carcassonne game that everybody has to see. I just need to do the editing, but the video's already there. Well, it has to do a lot with this monastery play, but specifically where you have a monastery and your opponent has a monastery and you're sharing squares. Like, how do you properly play that? And the thing, creating this thread here of completing your monastery is huge. Not only because it gives you a lot of points, but even if it doesn't matter, then at least it guarantees that you don't lose the meeple. Because the worst thing that can happen, both of you get blocked. The best thing that can happen, you get the extra monastery and his monastery is getting blocked, and then you just like win +20 or something. So that's one thing. Building up, setting up. Second, of course, is it's not just about monasteries. Like if you have a monastery over here, it's a high impact tile that I think in the mid game shouldn't be wasted on a move that is not guaranteed to give you success. So here you're not even doing a blocking, like you're doing a blocking platform or a connection platform. And so the thing is, like, if you can afford wasting a move and your opponent completing a city, well, then you can definitely afford your opponent completing a city and like not wasting a move. And of course, well, the third one is big one is this guy over here. Is score the 9 points, score the 9 points. Well, 8 points, but like with a very high probability 9 points is just so impactful. It's huge. Yeah, but probably what you're saying, like the mindset shift, right? If you are seeing that your opponent doesn't have enough meeples, of course, that's a good overall strategy to try to block your opponent's meeples. But if the tiles that you're getting mandate a different plan, well, then you're gonna have to rapidly change the plan. But I've made this mistake myself of kind of getting married to one idea. I think, ironically, I talk about the psychological issue in the video that's called my best game of 2021, or like my best game of WTCOC of 2021, like which I ended up winning. I think it was like a very good game, but I talk about like one mistake that I made where I was like prepared for doing one idea the whole game, but then the tiles changed, the situation changed. I was still married to this one idea. It ended up working, but I actually wasn't having good percentages there at the end already. Even though it ended up working, I still remember it as a mistake that I made. Already. Cheers, yeah, thank you for the kind words, everyone. Sukimana Shumash 3, and then this was absolutely excellent, this move over here, setting up for a high impact 50%, like giving yourself basically almost 50% of the game, and then even towards the end, you like managed to make this close despite of not drawing this tile, but probably at the very end of the game, now that we both see that the tiles, there was this super counterintuitive move of trying to connect to this 12-point field, but admittedly that's very, very hard to find. Well, Yeah, overall, actually, overall, really well played. You made some like really strong moves, and so did your opponent, man. Okay, that was fun. Probably, since it's been 2 hours, it's enough for one stream. Oh, hi, Melvin. Nice to see you here as well. I'll be doing those once in a while, so I don't know. Let me know in the comments. What would be a good frequency? Maybe once a month, once 2 weeks. Maybe would be a bit too much because we're also doing Carcassonne with subscribers once every month. Anyway, speaking of which, as an exception, there's Carcassonne with subscribers tomorrow at the same time, where I will be expecting many of you. Yeah, but do drop me an email or a Board Game Arena message. An email, you can see that in the description of the YouTube channel. If you just click on it, you'll find it, with games that you'd like to have analyzed, and then we might repeat that at some point. And also, I might add that maybe, if you're very keen, not all of these games have to be Carcassonne, but let's say most of them. Let's make most of them Carcassonne. All right, yeah. Thank you so much for watching. It was. See you tomorrow for Carcassonne with subscribers. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.